shortly. All right, so we will be recording this event in case you need to step away for a bathroom break, or if you need to run to the kitchen for some coffee, that kind of thing. We will record this event and we will share it to you with you after the event. All right, so without further ado, my name is Will Moss, the CEO and founder of HBCU Connect. This evening or this afternoon, depending on where you are logged in from, we are presenting and partnering with Remitly to present some awesome opportunities for software engineering professionals. I personally am very excited because this is our first event with Remitly, and I happen to be a customer of Remitly, and you all are going to learn all about what Remitly does at this event, and I'll talk a little bit about how I've used Remitly as well. So I was super excited about this opportunity for you, as this is an awesome company that's growing. They have some awesome opportunities, and of course, some awesome people that work at the company that have so graciously volunteered their time to come here and meet with you and not only present their opportunities and present themselves and their backgrounds, but we also have the opportunity to engage. So we will have a live and interactive opportunity for breakout sessions. So as you know, in a lot of our events, or if you've been on to virtual events in the past, breakout sessions are a great way to connect, to present yourself, to ask questions, to learn a little bit more about the teams in a little bit more of an intimate environment. So we've got 4 different breakout rooms. I'll give you guys the instructions for that. But if you are in a quiet place and you are dressed accordingly, you can definitely turn on your camera and use your audio video features in Zoom during the breakout sessions. But for the first part of the event, you can actually keep your video off and of course stay on mute so that we can focus on the video and the audio from the Remitly team, like I said, who was so graciously taking the time out of their schedules to present their opportunities. So like I said, I'm super excited about this event. It looks like we've got a good number of people already logged on. So let's go ahead and get started because I want to introduce our keynotes as well as some of the panelists that have taken their time out to join us. Okay, so while you guys take a look at this slide, I want to, first of all, thank Remitly for reaching out to HBCU Connect to partner on this event. This is a great opportunity for folks to not only learn about Remitly, but land an interview. So this is an intentional event where the hope is that you all are excited about the opportunities with Remitly and you want to go through the interview process because they're actually setting up an interview day for you all to interview specifically as a result of this event. So this is a great opportunity. This is not just the dog and pony show. It's not just a branding event. This is an intentional event to help folks get their foot in the door at Remitly. So we thank Remitly for that. And we thank you all as candidates for joining us. All right, so let me quickly go over the agenda so that I can give you all some expectations on what we're going to cover tonight. So I'm going to give a brief background on myself and HBCU Connect, our partnership with Remitly. Then I'm going to introduce our 2 keynote speakers. After our keynote speakers give you sort of a high level of Remitly and who they are and what they do at Remitly as well and the opportunity, then we're going to actually have a panel discussion. So we have some folks that have volunteered their time to come to the event to give you some perspective, from a cultural perspective and a diverse perspective of what it's like to work at Remitly and to tell a little bit about their story. And I prepared some questions to ask and engage on behalf of you all as candidates. So I kind of put my candidate hat on, came up with a few questions, but also I will be looking for questions that come from you all in the chat during the event and actually during the panel discussion. So if you have questions, definitely leverage the chat to ask those questions during the event. And also, I almost forgot, I love it when you all engage in the chat. So if you would, right now in the chat, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself, if you'd like to just give your name, a little bit about your background, maybe what it is you do. I know we've got lots of software engineers in the house, lots of HBCU grads in the house. If you want to represent your HBCU, like I said, what you do. And then also a great way to network at a virtual event is to drop a link to your LinkedIn profile. So if you want to grab the link to your LinkedIn profile as a way to network and drop that in the chat, please do so along with introducing yourself. And that way you all can get acclimated to using the chat because we want this to be a live and interactive event. And we do not want you to feel like you're watching a pre-recorded video, right? We're here to engage with you, answer your questions, and present some great opportunities with Remitly. Okay, so after the panel discussion and your live Q&A, we're going to jump into the breakout rooms. In those breakout rooms, you'll be able to turn on your audio and video. You'll be able to ask questions, engage, learn a little bit more about the different team members and what they do on the different teams at Remitly. And then you'll have that opportunity to engage, ask some good questions, represent yourself, because like I said, after this event, there will be interviews. So never hurts to stand out with a good question or a good introduction of yourself in the breakout rooms. Then we'll come back to the main session. We'll talk about next steps, the recruiting and interview day process, because like I said, there will be an interview day and that you'll have the opportunity to basically put your hat in for an interview post-event. And then we'll have some closing remarks and then we'll be finished. All right, so that's the agenda for our event. Like I said, I'm super excited for you all to be here. All right, so a little bit of background quickly on myself. Like I said, my name is Will Moss. I'm the CEO of HBCU Connect. And we are basically an opportunity engine. So if this is your first time jumping on one of our events, like I said, this is our first event with Remitly. So we're super excited about the opportunities that they present, that they have here for you. But we're all about connecting folks in the community and diverse communities within the African-American and Latinx community to opportunities with great companies, right? So if Remitly happens to be one of those companies, I wanted to tell the story because I actually happen to be a Remitly customer or client. I actually have 3 of my team members that work in Colombia. So from time to time, I have to find different ways to send money to make sure I'm able to pay, my workers in Colombia. And so, Remitly is a fintech company, right? So they provide a service where folks can send money efficiently and cost effectively all over the world, right? And so we know how important it is to send money. And I actually found Remitly probably a little over a year ago because I was looking for a better way to send money to Colombia to support my team in different scenarios when I needed to do that. And of course, you guys have heard of companies like Western Union, MoneyGram, and companies like that, and I've used all of them. But I was looking for a better way. Did some searching, I found Remitly. So let me give this company a try. And I have to say, the service was excellent. It was flawless. If any of you have sent money internationally, depending on the amount of money, the frequency that you send money, sometimes you can hit a snag. And for the most part, I never hit a snag when I used Remitly. But occasionally, if you're sending money to like a bank account, that kind of thing, you can hit a snag, and then you may have to interface with whoever that third party is to help you send that money. And in this case, I used Remitly, hit a snag, and it was very obvious to me that they were running their company to be different, and they were running their company to be focused on customers and be customer centric, because all the way down to just the way that they talk to me as a customer to guide me through getting things done so that the money gets where it's supposed to be, and there's no worries or stress about that happening. So kudos to the Remitly team. I am very excited to partner with you on this event. And like I said, to our candidates out there, I'm very excited for you all to have an opportunity to work for a company that does things the right way and has some great opportunities, and they're growing quickly. So our partnership with Remitly, like I said, this is our first time hosting any event with Remitly. Very excited for the outcomes from this event. But without further ado, you all are here not to really talk to me, but you are here to learn about Remitly and meet some of the folks on the team. And so let's go ahead and introduce our first keynote speaker, who is Ankur Sina. And Ankur is the Chief Technology Officer at Remitly. So Ankur, if you're ready.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Will, for driving this event. And thank you to everyone for joining. Look forward to engaging, look forward to connecting, and look forward to getting to know you a little bit better. In terms of just quick intros, my path to Remitly and how I got here, background-wise, born and brought up in India, so I'm a first-generation immigrant. I was privileged to be born into a tech family, so I grew up in a tech family. My father, my brother, they all worked in tech, so I got introduced to CS pretty early and a little bit by default, so I had a little bit of an advantage. Started my career by co-founding a tech startup at the beginning of my career, building software for the Indian government back in the day while I was doing my bachelor's. So a lot of fun, learned quite a lot. Probably learned more in the initial parts of my career than I did later on. Immigrated to the US about 15 years ago with a lot of dreams. I've always been driven by making a difference in people's lives. So I did a lot of stints at Xbox, which is very customer centric. Did stints at Microsoft Commerce and Google Cloud after that, and then joined Remitly a few months ago. I've always been inspired by Remitly's mission. I think the mission and purpose with which we drive is just outstanding, and I think it definitely is a key reason why a lot of us are here, and you'll hear it through the rest of this event as well. It really is quite core to what we do in terms of, I always say this, for us, our customers are heroes. They take a lot of their dreams, a lot of their passions, and move to a different country to get better livelihood. And then, a lot of them have the responsibility to take care of people back home, their loved ones. And the fact that we can be a part of that story, we can be a part of their lives, is really key to what Remitly is all about. And that's where our customer centricity comes. And then what we do matters. Like what we do results in economic equitability for everyone on the planet. At our scale, we're driving that at large volumes that makes a difference to the audience who uses our products. And that's really what drives a lot of us, and definitely something that drives me. So I come motivated at work, just because, we can make a small difference in these people's lives and help their life become a little easier with the products and services we provide. So just giving some context in terms of the organizations and teams we're hiring in, we've been pretty disciplined in the way we've hired. So even at this point of time, where the economic climate and the industry is heading, we're still hiring quite aggressively in a number of areas. So as you can see on the slide, our primary product is a remittance product, but our vision is really to transform the lives of immigrants and their families by providing them financial services that are trusted and at planet scale. So while our primary product is remittance, and you'll see a number of teams that we're hiring therein, many managers of which and leaders of which are here today, to help provide perspective to you. So it ranges from the core remittance product, the application itself, the underlying feature set that supports it, a risk and fraud engine, which is best in class in terms of making sure that we're detecting fraud and preventing fraud, meaning fraudulent people trying to send money, for bad reasons, and being able to handle them appropriately while still letting good customers go through. Our core infrastructure layers could be the core compute infrastructure, could be our storage layers, could be machine learning and AI teams, as well as the specific feature sets that those products and teams drive. So customer success, I saw Corinne here, who leads our customer success team, so you'll get to interact with her a little bit. Our pay in, pay out teams, which handle payments onboarding. So if you have, a bank account or a credit card, you can pay with that card to be sent then to a bank account or a, cash pickup, which is the payout mechanism on the receiver side. As well as security, which is also part of our core platform and infrastructure. And then additionally, like I said, remittance is the core product, but then we're also expanding into new product areas. So we have a banking product. I saw, Harshad, manager from there, in terms of the new product initiatives we're driving. So I have a banking product. We're investing in driving lending, so providing credit to immigrants. So there's a lot of new opportunity in terms of where you could, come in and drive impact if you were to join Remitly. In terms of culturally, from an engineering perspective, I would say we're very customer centric, and I hope you'll see that through the rest of this presentation as well. And the path really lies in some of what Will was talking about as well, right? Being able to make sure that we provide you something that works consistently, reliably, and works throughout the life cycle of what you want to go do, as well as making sure that we're thinking through, if you do actually need help, how do we get you the best help through our customer success setup? So that's on the customer centricity side. We've invested quite a lot in our technology stack. So we're a cloud native tech stack. We're solving really hard fintech problems at scale, right? So if you think about it, if I give you a couple of examples, we drive over $30 billion of send volume in a year. So just think about that a moment, right? $30 billion in send volume over a year. We serve over 5.5 million customers. And that scale requires our systems to work really well, 24/7, making sure that we're continuing to drive it through maintainability and continuing to evolve because we're building new capabilities. So all of that is needed to be done from a systems perspective. But more importantly, we also need to do it well from a team perspective. So making sure that we're thinking through how we learn. So there's a very explicit sense of growth mindset across our teams where we want to learn. Like we want to come in. I come to work every day wanting to learn something new from all of my coworkers, and being able to express that is super, super important to us. So that's, I would say, a general gist of hiring organizations and the culture we bring from an engineering perspective. And then lastly, from a talent needs and what hiring initiatives we do right now, I would say if you're thinking about should I apply to Remitly, my only ask of you would be if you have a passion for learning, if you have a growth mindset where you're like, I just want to learn and get better at what I do, Remitly is a place for you. So definitely give us a shot. In terms of specific engineering needs, like I described, a lot of the roles really vary depending on the skill set and the competencies we're looking for. So it really ranges from front end to back end to full stack to very specific areas of expertise around machine learning, security, being able to go build these specific products in their areas of expertise is quite varied. So I would definitely encourage you guys to take a look and see if any of those resonate, and definitely talk to us about questions you might have. In terms of what we do from an events perspective to just attract, and if you want to connect later on, we would definitely be willing to do that. So events like these, HBCU is a phenomenal initiative. So we're glad we're getting to partner with Will through HBCU Connect. We also leverage, companies like Ada for interns, and we do a lot of meetups. We've started a lot of this through Seattle, and we're expanding to other locations. And you'll definitely find us at a lot of the key tech conferences to be able to find us and come talk to us about questions you might have. So I would say from that standpoint, we're looking to continue to grow and evolve our culture by getting the most amazing people onto our teams. And this would be a phenomenal set of people to consider coming on and adding to the Remitly family. So that's my quick intro, handing this one back to Will.
So Ankur, before I introduce our next keynote, I'd like to ask just a couple of questions.
Go for it.
So my first question is, I saw you had some experience at Google and Microsoft, for example. So when you joined Remitly, what was the deciding factor, and did you always hold the role of CTO, or did you hold different roles before becoming a CTO?
Good question, Will. So I would answer that separately in terms of, hey, I worked at Microsoft and Google. Why would I come to Remitly? What were some of the factors that drove my decision making to go from Microsoft to Google to Remitly? I would say 4 factors, and I write about it quite explicitly. So you can look me up on LinkedIn. I have a whole blog on this topic. But I would say the 4 key reasons, Will, would be the ones that I did literally. I'm a maths guy. I'm a tech guy, so I do a lot of analysis. So like for me, the 4 reasons were purpose. I wanted to have a deeper purpose associated with where I work. And while both Microsoft and Google were phenomenal, I could associate myself a lot with what Remitly's purpose was in terms of transforming the lives of immigrants and their families, because I myself am an immigrant. I have faced a lot of these challenges. So when I saw the purpose, when I met the people who just imbibed the purpose, it's not just a statement on a website or a statement in our offices. We truly believe in it. So I think that resonated quite a lot for me. And believe it or not, it does hit home. So for me, that was a big factor. I would say the second factor, being a technologist, I thought the tech was impressive. Like coming from a place like Microsoft and Google, I actually thought for a company our scale and size, we've invested really well into our technology infrastructure. And being able to build what we've been able to build and run it at scale and run it well is really hard. So kudos to everybody at Remitly to be able to get to that point. But yeah, I thought the technology was pretty impressive, and the directionality of it was something that I was looking forward to contribute to. So that was another reason, the technology itself. The third reason was the culture. Like every person I spoke to, and I would say I've spent 8 months here. Every person I've spoken to since I've been here is just outstanding. I learn something every day. And the kind of talent we have, it is quite remarkable. So I would say throughout my interview process, that also resonated. So if any of you do end up interviewing for Remitly, watch for that. I think it'll resonate, but definitely you would love that feedback. And I would say, lastly, just the people themselves. Like I think if we have a value that's called empathetic partnership, and I think we really do really well at that. Some of our values are aspirational. We want to get better at them. Empathetic partnership is one I truly believe in. And so I would say overall, if I were to categorize it, the culture at the company is quite different. I would say quite refreshing to some of the larger technology firms. I would say those are my 4, Will. And then in terms of roles I've had at Remitly, I came into the role of CTO. But I would say at previous companies, at Google, I was a director. At Microsoft, I was a senior director. Prior to Microsoft and Google, I had my own company where I was also the CTO. So I've kind of had a variety of roles as I've gone in from smaller companies to larger companies. So that would be my answer to that, Will.
Awesome. So Ankur, let me thank you for being one of our keynotes. And to our candidates, if you have questions specifically for Ankur, go ahead and drop those questions in the chat. And then Ankur, if you have a couple of minutes to hang around and answer questions, we'd appreciate it. Thanks, Ankur. Okay, so next, so we have the pleasure of having two keynotes at this event. And our next keynote is Saima Samaya, who's the EVP Legal and Risk at Remitly. So Saima, if you're ready.
Sure. Hi. Thanks everyone for being here, and I'm really delighted to join all of you as a very honored non-engineer in the mix. So a little bit about my path to Remitly. Like Ankur, I'm a first-generation immigrant. I was born in England and moved here as a child and grew up in New Jersey, which I seem to be steadily moving west over the course of my life. So I'm now in Seattle. And I was really drawn to Remitly over the course of about 2.5, 3 years ago. I started talking with our CEO, and having had a career in capital markets and having a real interest in access to capital issues, for me, Remitly was a really, really, really exciting opportunity. And I think very similar to Ankur, to me, it was really a sense of purpose that was unique and drew me here. You know, there's most corporations, it's like they make a widget and, you know, it's great. And you have, you know, inspiring colleagues that you love and enjoy. But there's something special about Remitly. And I think we have a unique and shared passion for our customers and for giving people access to the financial system. So, you know, that's why I'm here. You know, I am a lawyer by background, so I particularly love fairness. I think like a lot of kids, I used to shout about how things needed to be more fair, but I've taken it to an extreme and sort of built my life around it. And I think Remitly is an incredibly rewarding place if you care about fairness, because we get up every day and try to make things a little bit more fair for everyone. So, you know, that's a little bit about me. In terms of, you know, some of the things that really give me a lot of joy in my day job, one of them is working on diversity and inclusion here. And, you know, our customer base is really diverse, and we start from there, right? And we want to be a home for all of them that really understands them and makes, you know, we say customer centricity, that's what we call it. But really what we're talking about when we do that is to say, whatever our discipline and our craft is, right? My craft is legal, your craft is largely engineering. What does that mean, right? How do I design something that is going to really serve my customer? And for you all, how are you going to do that, right? And in order to do that, you have to understand who they are, where they're coming from, you know, what are the challenges they face. And I think, you know, that is also part of the diversity and inclusion journey for Remitly as a whole, right? Is who is the world we want to reflect it inside of our organization. And one of the truly astounding and unexpected things for me, and I've been with Remitly for about 2 years, is I think we've all heard about bringing your whole self to work. I grew up in the 80s, so I didn't grow up in that culture, did not really understand what that means. And I think probably like a lot of you, when you're a minority, you never have an expectation of fitting in. And so I never really tried to bring my whole self to work, probably. And here, the minute you walk in the door, there's like this massive level of interest. And you slowly wind up bringing more and more of yourself in. And so I'd say everyone at Remitly knows I'm Muslim. Everyone at Remitly knows I have a daughter. Everyone at Remitly knows, all kinds of things about me. And I wish that for everyone. I wish that for my old self, who never even knew how delightful it would be, but I wish it for all of you as well, because it is the definition of inclusion is when you can bring your whole self in. So that's a little bit about that. That takes work. We're working at it every day. We're certainly not perfect, right? And we never will be, but that's a very important part of our company's journey. And finally, I'd say, a little bit more broadly about our company's culture, I'd say my favorite values, and I think everybody has different favorites. So if you ask this question of each person, we'd all say customer centricity, but then the rest of our favorites would probably be a little bit different. Mine are integrity. Mine is integrity. And I think that it's a very oft used word, but it is such a beautiful thing, to stand up and just do the right thing for somebody who put their trust in you. And it makes me enormously proud to be part of a company that takes this integrity so seriously. And I think when you're looking for a place to work, I wish for all of you as well that you find a place where you can just feel really proud to say, hey, I work here. So with that, over to you, and happy to take any questions and chat.
So Saima, just a quick question. So since you've been there over the last couple of years, what is it that you like most about working at Remitly?
I like the opportunity to work on problems that are as diverse as they are and bring really craft-based solutions to global problems that really, and I think as Ankur said, really impact people's lives. When we do this well, there's a kid, and it's so tangible. There's a kid that gets a school book. There's a dad who gets an oxygen tank, in the Philippines when he's got COVID and there's no other way for him to get it. There's a, nephew that gets a wedding gift. And when we don't do it right, people don't get those things. And so I love the tangibility of that. And I love that, we get to work on how do we, in my area in legal and compliance, it's how do we authenticate people so that we're protecting them from fraud, right? And you all might be on the engineering side of the product that creates that, right? We work on the policies for that. And how do we make it easy for them so that it's not, like this 9-hour process? And I'm sure every single one of you has been on the phone with a customer support agent for like a multi-day process where you're like, can I just get my money? Working with partners throughout the organization to say, okay, how can we make that not happen for people who maybe just don't have like the typical profile, I think is enormously rewarding. I love it.
It's interesting for me to be on the other side as a customer and also hosting this event, because some of the things that you're speaking to, I have experienced as a customer. So like, I love that about Remitly. I can give you one example briefly. I've sent money and had a snag happen where I had to, provide some documentation and that kind of thing. And Remitly is the only company of its kind that your customer service people will reach out to your customers multiple times to get it resolved, rather than waiting for the customer who might be busy, like myself, to keep following up and having to find you all. I think that's awesome, and it speaks to, I'm just giving a testimonial to some of the things that you're speaking to about customer centricity and just putting yourselves in the shoes of the customer to provide that service and that value. So Saima, let me thank you for being one of our presenters or keynotes for the event. So let me thank you. To our candidates, if you have questions specifically for Saima or for Ankur, please drop those questions in the comment. I see a lot of folks introducing themselves. I actually saw a question from a candidate that said, hey, is this a hiring event? So yes, of course, this is a hiring event. So let me reiterate. What we're doing right now is we're introducing you to Remitly and the team. So we don't want to just throw you in an interview and expect that you automatically want to work at Remitly. We want to give you that opportunity to learn more about the company and hear directly from folks at Remitly so that you can decide for yourself, if this is a great place for you to work. So that's why I'm so excited for you all to be here, to learn about the company, to ask questions, and to engage. So if you have questions, go ahead and start to drop some of those questions in the chat. Of course, you'll have the opportunity in our breakout sessions as well to ask the questions, on audio, video, and that kind of thing. But yes, this is a hiring event. There will be interviews after the event. So definitely bring your questions, learn all that you can, and let's engage with the Remitly team. Okay, so thanks, Ankur, and thanks, Saima. So now we're gonna have a panel discussion about company culture from a diversity perspective. And so we have 3 speakers. So I'm gonna ask each of our 3 speakers if you would like to come on video. First, I'm going to introduce Isaac Durant, who's a principal program manager at Remitly. So Isaac, if you're ready, I'd like for you to introduce yourself, maybe share a little bit about what you do, and we can talk about the couple of questions that we have here on the screen as well. So Isaac, if you're ready.
Yep. Hi, everybody. I'm Isaac Durant. I am a principal program manager for the payments team here at Remitly. I've been here almost 2 years. And it's been an awesome experience from the start, being very honest there. And the 2 things I chose to speak about were why I chose Remitly, and what you'll hear is something very similar to what both Ankur and Saima said. But I'll start with kind of the background. Is before Remitly, I worked for large companies that were nowhere near mission driven in terms of like the customers they're trying to serve. The main focus was trying to, maximize profit, get more money, do it however you can. So when I decided to look for my next role, I told myself it had to be a place where I could feel good about the work that I was doing on a daily basis. Because I had never in my 13, 14 years working felt like I had really made a difference that mattered. So that was very important to me. So in doing my research or learning about Remitly and the mission, it really resonated with me because we are trying to help transform the lives of immigrants. And I think that in itself made me want to dig in further and see, what does this really mean? And how are they making this claim? And I started to look into remittances and understand, the power that, being able to send money and have access to financial tools that it has and that it gives to people. And specifically, the customers we're trying to serve are historically overlooked by the financial sector. And they have to jump through a lot of hoops to do basic things. So I was really excited to come to a place that wanted to make that easier, who is, where we're committed to, helping the person that says, hey, I'm going to, put food on the table for my family in another country. I'm going to pay for, someone's education. I'm going to make sure that my family gets the best medical care that, is available. And, I wanted to be part of that. So that's how I got here. And then kind of what sealed the deal for me in terms of when I got the offer was throughout the interview process, there was a focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And, it's something that we look for in candidates, their commitment, their experience, how they think about that, because it is very important to not only us as a company, but thinking about the customers we serve. We have to be very present. And it needs to be top of mind to make sure that we're getting it right and meeting them where they are and suiting their needs. And that's that. And then just kind of my current role, like I said, I work on the payments team and I collaborate with engineering on a daily basis, all day, every day, along with the other teams that I work with to create new products in terms of payments, building out the customer experience. We've alluded to, things don't always go well, with payments, but my job is to make sure that things go smoothly. And when things do break down, that I am coming up with creative ways to solve those problems. And that oftentimes requires working with engineers to help you see what's possible and how to plug holes in a way that is going to not just stop the problem, that one time, but to build out an effective solution to prevent customers from dealing with it in the future. So I view it as a partnership. There's a lot of open, honest feedback because we're all fiercely committed to creating the best customer experience for the customer. So I love that if there is any tension, it's with the customer's best interest at heart. And it makes it really easy to get to a place where you land on the right solution. And just in terms of how I like to work with engineering, I love to remove roadblocks. So whatever there is that I can do to help engineers kind of be more effective, or if there's things I can do that don't require engineers, I will never pass it that direction. And I think that's the spirit here, is freeing people up to do the things that they're best at, that add the most value and further our mission.
Awesome, Isaac. So one of the things I like to do, since we have you here as a part of our panel, is I like to understand a little bit about everybody's background. So you want to just give us some basics on where you're from originally, where you currently work out of, and sort of your path to getting your foot in the door at Remitly.
Yeah, so I was born in Texas, so moved to Seattle when I was just a baby. So I've always been in the Seattle area. And when I first entered the workforce, I started my job at one of the larger retailers in the area, Costco. I started off in the accounting world, held various roles there, from financial analyst all the way to accounting manager over the accounts payable operations teams, and leading a financial migration to SAP financials. From there, I moved over to Amazon, where I led two teams. One was focused on financial reconciliation. So that was my first real step into the payment space, and learning what was really behind the scenes in terms of how payments work. And then my second role there was focused on international expansion. So I got kind of my feet wet looking at, trying to offer localized payment methods that were going to meet people's needs, and kind of meet them where they're at. And that whole role was focused on making sure that as we launched those things, or those new payment methods, from a customer experience, an agent experience, that there was no friction, that there was as much quality as possible with what we put out the door, because the commitment to having an experience where customers don't have to call was very important, and that's what my whole team was about. So I kind of say that I learned my obsession with making sure that things are done right the first time, and really centering my thinking around the customer and what they need there. And then after that, I moved over to Expedia, and I worked on product there, doing one was consumer and partner loyalty. So you think about the Expedia Rewards program, building out products to support that program. And then also from the partner loyalty programs perspective, you think about air miles programs and them, having inventory that they can offer in terms of hotels and flights, building out that product that we could offer to financial institutions as well as airlines. And then also, before that, I worked on a team that was responsible for trying to externalize the payment processing capabilities that we had there, and building out various risk products as well.
And so did the way you
that
found—
brought me to Remitly.
Okay, so were you recruited, or did you see a job posting, or?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a funny story. So I was like I said, looking for a job that was mission based.
Mhm.
And I also knew that I didn't want to leave Seattle. So I really concentrated my focus here, trying to find companies that were based in Seattle. And that's when I came across Remitly. I did some digging, and then I started just searching on LinkedIn to see who worked there. I saw that one of my contacts actually worked at Remitly, so that got me even more excited, and it was in the payment space. So I reached out and said, "Are there any roles?" Looked at the job board. There were actually roles, and that's how I came into Remitly.
Excellent, excellent. So I always like to give that context for candidates, because I like to say, at an event like this, you are in the right place at the right time. There are recruiters on the call. There are team members on the call. Like I said, I encourage everyone to drop their LinkedIn profile. As Isaac just said, he networked with some folks on LinkedIn. And next thing you know, he's there at Remitly. So Isaac, let me thank you for being one of our panelists. I'll ask you to hang on for a few more questions as part of our panel discussion. But with that, let me introduce our next panelist, who is Aaron McClure, Facilities Coordinator at Remitly. So Aaron, if you're ready.
Hi all, my name is Aaron McClure. I'm the Facilities Coordinator based in our Seattle office in the US, of course. I have been with Remitly going on 1.5 to 2 years, but it feels like I've been here forever, which is a great thing. Seeing all these faces that I know are in the office probably around the corner from me. My job at Remitly really is to create a great office environment, creating a space for all the employees and everything that they do, including collaboration, heads down work, celebrations, whatever that is. I'm here to help create that space for them, not just at our local office level, but across all of our sites globally. So I do a lot of implementation work, making sure that whatever I'm doing here in Seattle, we're reflecting it across all of our sites globally. We're not just Seattle centric. We don't like to be Seattle centric. Our customers are global, so we want to think globally as well. I'm just so proud to work at Remitly for that fact that I'm not just thinking about us here, Seattle. I'm thinking about our office in Krakow. I'm thinking about our CS employees in Manila and Managua, thinking about other sites we may open and how can we make not only our customers' lives better, but our employees, my own internal customers' lives better. It's not an easy process because sometimes our engineers, they are extremely opinionated, and I love them for that. One of our core values is constructively direct, and our people are not afraid to tell me what they think, but it makes me better, and I think that's what I love about it. They're always keeping me on my toes, wanting me to be better, wanting me to do better, and making sure that I'm one step ahead of them so they can't say anything. It's this game that we play, and I absolutely enjoy every second of it. Now, in terms of BAR, which is Black at Remitly, I am a BAR co-lead with Isaac, and you'll hear from Latoya as well. Black at Remitly is our ERG group, or our employee resource group, or what others know as Infinity Groups. And our goal for Black at Remitly is really to create an environment that allows our Black employees or employees of color to feel like they belong, to feel like they have a voice, to feel like they matter in this world and in our office. We all know how affinity groups can be. They dump a bunch of information on you, tell you, hey, join this event, or, oh, we're going to do this Black History Month PowerPoint, but you don't feel connected as a Black employee. My goal as a BAR co-lead is to make sure that our employees just feel like they actually belong, that they make a difference, and that they're getting the support that they need at the end of the day. We do this in a very strategic fashion. We're not constantly pushing out content. We reach out person by person as need be. Our goals is to be very, very soft and not push. And one of our biggest accomplishments right now is we are actually sending a group of our employees to Afrotech this year, Afrotech 2022. That way they can learn what's happening in the tech world. And we're not just sending engineers, we're literally sending a handful of people. We have Latoya, who you'll hear from HR. You actually have our VP of HR who's going down there, an IT specialist that I work with. He's heading down to Afrotech. It's just a lot. We really want to make sure that all of our Black employees have exactly what they need.
Awesome.
Turn it over to Will.
Awesome. So let me ask you a quick question about you personally. So where are you from originally, and then how did you get your foot in the door at Remitly?
So I am a born and bred Seattleite, true to the fashion. So born and raised here in Seattle. And in terms of getting my foot in the door at Remitly, so I actually came from a Big Four accounting firm, Ernst & Young. And during the pandemic in 2020, everything was happening. You had George Floyd and everything. And I'm sitting there working, and I'm crying every day. I was like, I'm so honest about this story just because I think it's important. And I'm like crying every day, working from home. I should feel lucky to have my job. I'm working for this big accounting firm. And I'm like, I'm supposed to think I've made it in the world, but I hated every second of it. All I realized is I was like making rich people richer all the time. Like these companies who are just making millions and millions and millions of dollars are just making that money and not donating it back anywhere. And in that, I was trying to get out. So I was searching one day, searching, and came across a Remitly ad. And I was like, oh, why have I heard that name before? Like, I know that name. Turns out Remitly had won our EY award, which is Entrepreneur of the Year in 2016. I was like, oh, I've heard that name in passing, did some research and was like, they need a facilities coordinator. It's exactly what I want to be doing anyway. Applied. And I didn't hear back for like a good minute. So I was like, oh, they didn't want me. That's fine. And I had actually just accepted a job with the Seattle Mariners to be one of their like facilities coordinators there for the events. And that I'm not even joking. I would like had just hit like send to say, yes, I accept. And then I got a call from the recruiter who was like, by the way, we want to start interviewing you. I was like, perfect. I emailed back and said, I was offered something else, even though I hadn't been offered anything but an interview, and gave up my job to work for the Mariners just to come work at Remitly.
Wow. Awesome. I think it speaks to the reoccurring theme that I'm hearing of purpose, right? And making a difference. So love that. And Aaron, let me thank you for being one of our panelists. I'll ask you to hang on for our panel discussion and live Q&A as well. But with that, let me go ahead and introduce our next panelist, who is Latoya Young, Senior Manager of People Experience at Remitly. So Latoya, if you're ready.
I was born ready.
All right. So if you'd like to maybe introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do at Remitly, company culture and benefits.
Yeah. So I'll try not to ramble, but this is my space. So I joined Remitly in March. I've been here for 8 months. I'm still in the honeymoon phase. And I became a co-lead shortly thereafter, a co-lead of BAR, that employee resource group Aaron was talking about. I am the senior manager of the people experience. I'm responsible for programs that look like employee engagement, recognition, our annual review process, some of the tactical things that we, just have to get done as a part of our daily work. I would describe Remitly's culture formally as a purpose-oriented culture. We're dedicated to continuously improving and learning and driving results for our customers. We're definitely centered around our values. You've heard Ankur and Saima talk about customer centricity, and that's at the heart of all of our values. There are 11 of them. We take them all very seriously, but customer centricity is key to all of them. And then when talking about our company culture, like informally, I describe it as family-like. We've gotten significantly larger, but I don't sit in Seattle. I'm a remote employee, but I still walk into the office and I'm greeted with smiles. I get the family vibes. Aaron and the facilities team are super nice, super helpful. I never feel alone or like I'm a new employee. And so for that, I love Remitly. I'm just going to move right into benefits. We have a lot of benefits. And so we have lots of benefits. I'm just going to point out a couple high level. These vary by location, and I'm not a benefits person at all. That is not my jam. So I'm just going to highlight some key or high level ones and then like how I use them personally. And so one of the ones that I love to highlight is like our PTO policy. It's unlimited. So we take off like as needed. I just work with my manager on what day works, like from a strategic perspective. I don't take off really during annual review or when I know I need to be at an event like this. We also have like floating wellness days where monthly we get a 3-day weekend. And it's literally a day for you to focus on your wellness, whether that be your physical wellness or your mental well-being. There's a 3-day weekend in the month for you to do that. We have professional development and travel corridor benefits. So if you're interested in getting a certification, or I won't even act like I know what the tech certifications are because I don't. But if you're interested in getting a PMP certification, there are benefits for you to do that. If you're interested in learning more about the communities and the cultures that we serve, there's a travel corridor benefit for that. We have really inclusive medical, dental, and vision benefits that include fertility and parental leave benefits that I think are great and above market, actually. I came from a large healthcare organization and our benefits by far surpass theirs. We have an employee assistance program that helps employees like in their day-to-day life if you need legal support or financial support. We also have an app called Modern Health that I live by. It gives you access to coaching sessions. It has meditation sessions. And some of those that I use, like the meditation specifically, they get me ramped up for the day. There's one specifically that talks about reframing a negative self-talk, and I love it. And then there's one for cueing your brain for sleep. So after a long day, I don't know, maybe you've been coding. Again, I don't speak tech speak, but maybe you've had a long day, you've been in front of the computer for an extended period of time. There are meditation sessions that help you kind of decompress and get you into a space to unwind and prepare your brain for sleep. So those are just some of the high level. I mean, those aren't even all of the benefits that we offer. And those are just some of the ones that I use to get through this thing called life.
Awesome, Latoya. So where are you from originally?
Yeah, I'm originally from the greatest state in America, or in the United States, Texas.
The great state of Texas.
Yeah.
And how did you find out about Remitly and get your foot in the door at the company?
Yeah, so I was actually recruited to the company by a former leader. Yeah, that's how I got here. So I was recruited to the company, but what ultimately impacted my decision to be here was the position that the company was in, the vision of senior leadership, the mission and purpose of the company, and the opportunity to grow and be supported at the company.
Awesome, awesome. So Latoya, let me thank you for being one of our panelists again. And so let's go into our candidate and live Q&A. So I've prepared a few questions that I'm going to ask our panelists. So to Latoya, to Isaac, to Aaron. Let me go ahead and take down my slides so we can focus on your video feed. Right, quick. So to our candidates, if you have questions around what it's like to work at Remitly, for Latoya, for Aaron, or for Isaac, if you'd like for me to ask those questions, please drop those questions in the chat. So, and like I said, I already have some questions that I prepared as well on your behalf. And then after the live Q&A, where you have this chance, to ask the questions in the panel format, then we're going to go into breakout sessions where you'll actually be able to have like smaller groups of participants. You can come on video and audio, and you can ask questions to the team members at Remitly that will support each of our breakout sessions. But for now, let's go ahead into our panel discussion. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and I'll try to ask some of your questions mixed in with mine. Okay, so first question I am going to pose to Aaron, and that is, do you feel that you can be yourself, culturally speaking, as a minority at Remitly?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like, I think, to be honest, this is like the first time in my life that I think I have like actually been in touch with like my inner self and like who I am as a Black female. Working at so many other companies and actually being mixed myself, it's been really hard. You just kind of want to blend in. You don't want to stand out. You want to make sure that you're fitting the mold of what everybody else wants you to be. But at Remitly, I literally get to be exactly who I want to be. I get to be my mixed self. I get to wear, like, normally my hair is actually naturally curly, and I can wear it curly without somebody being like, oh, you should do your hair more often. Or people questioning my Blackness. Actually, I get that a lot because my name is actually Erin McClure. People are like, so your dad must be like white, right? Like that's who it is. It's like, no, like I am like a full mixed girl at heart. Like I just get to be who I want to be, and I absolutely love it, like every day.
Awesome. So let me ask this next question to Latoya. And Latoya, if you think back to your interview with Remitly, any advice that you would offer candidates who are maybe going to come into an interview with Remitly, any advice you would offer them on maximizing their chances of being hired?
Yeah. So I would always say, be rested. I think sleep does a lot for your brains that we discount. So just being in a space to be rested and try to be as calm as possible. I was actually interviewing candidates today, and one of them was like really flustered, and I was trying to get her to calm down. Just really remembering to try to be as calm as possible, to keep the confidence in yourself. I believe that you all are fully capable of, or you fully have what it takes to be a part of Remitly. Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. Knowing our values, and understanding that we are very aligned to our values and that we do take those seriously. Yeah. Is there anything that I would say Nicole would also be a good person to answer that question?
So yeah, around hiring. So Nicole, you're welcome to jump in on your thoughts on a candidate maximizing their chances of being hired at Remitly. Any advice you might want to throw into the mix?
Yeah, hi, I'm Nicole. I would definitely say, we provide a lot of resources as far as prep documents. And so really looking those over and looking at the process documents that we provide and studying those is going to help with the interview process because we provide a lot of, like coder pad and things that we do there, and example problems and everything like that. And so that's a good one. And also, staying in contact with your recruiter and keeping them up to date on where they're at in the process with other companies. I know our recruiters here are advocates for our candidates. And so the closer that you can keep in touch with us and let us know where you're at in the process with other people, then the more we can advocate for you and, push the process through, get you a great offer, things like that. So
Awesome. Appreciate that insight, Nicole. So let me ask this next question to Isaac and to our candidates. Like I said, if you have questions that you'd like for me to throw into the mix before we go into our breakout sessions, feel free to drop those questions in the chat. But I see the Remitly team is doing a great job at answering some of the questions that are coming in. So thanks for your help. But Isaac, what is one thing you wish you knew before you started working at Remitly?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say I don't say that there's anything negative that I wish I knew. I think I wish I would have known, and I had a glimpse of it, like I said, that diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging is important here. But I wish I would have known how the conversation really never stops here in terms of how we can improve. And it would have made my decision a lot easier. To be honest, I did. Like I had another offer at the same time, and I wanted to work in a mission-based company. This other one kind of was, but not really. But had I known that, like, I'd walk into the company, and the next week, or not next week, in the next couple of weeks, there would be a whole kind of series around Black joy, and like it would have been a no-brainer, right? And kind of like Aaron and Latoya and everybody said, like, it's just the first place where I felt like I could really be myself in terms of not code switching, not masking behaviors, not having to think so carefully about everything I say, and worrying that someone's going to think I'm being aggressive because I'm direct. So I would say I just wish I would have known that I could be myself, because I would have probably said yes a lot sooner.
Awesome. So I appreciate that insight. So I'm going to ask this next question to everyone on the panel, and that is, what is it that you like most about the employee culture and work environment at Remitly? So we can start that one with Aaron, and then Latoya. So what is it that you like most about the culture and the work environment at Remitly?
Oh gosh. What I think one of my biggest things, and I told my manager when I first started, was everyone lives Remitly values. And I think that's what I really like about it. I can't, again, coming from the Big Four accounting firm where nobody said thank you, they just expected it. I hear the word thank you in a day more than I think I heard it all for like an entire year when I worked at EY. It like Latoya brought up the family thing, like, and we always worry about, like, oh, the company said they're a family, but it's genuinely like a family. Like, people are concerned for you. People want to make sure you're doing okay. They want to make sure you're taking those mental health days if you're working too hard. It truly has to be one of the best working environments just because of the people. Like, I keep looking at Corinne. Corinne always makes me smile. And I know she's laughing, and I know she's always joking. And it's just one of the best. It's so hard to describe, besides the fact that I'm just truly happy every single day. And especially to be a bar co-lead with Isaac and Latoya. It's just, there's no words to describe it, really.
Nice. Latoya, your thoughts on what you like most about the employee culture or the work environment at Remitly?
Yeah, I like our approach to just our teams in general. So we spend so much time at work that I think like the average adult will spend 90,000 hours at work. I think that's the stat. It's probably more now. I think that stat is like 5 or 8 years old. So it's probably like 150. I don't know, whatever. Anyway. You can't work on a team that is like dysfunctional and, they're kind of always going at it. It's not really a healthy environment. And so I just love our approach to working with our teams, to resolving conflict, to being direct and giving feedback. That is something that you don't always get at companies, especially companies that are the size that we are. And that's something that I really value.
Awesome, awesome. And Isaac, your thoughts on employee culture and what you like most about it and the environment working at Remitly.
Yeah, I'll echo what Aaron said. I like and enjoy most that people here actually operate based on the cultural values, and everybody's committed to making this a place that is pleasant to work. Like I mentioned, there are times when it does, things can get contentious because we're very committed to our solution, but behind that, it's our customer centricity, but we also approach things in a very respectful and kind of a way that you still have your voice heard. And I think that that's like my second point about what I've enjoyed about the culture is the commitment to, making it possible for people who have different learning styles, different communication styles to be comfortable and to contribute. I'm an introvert, so I don't always want to be the first person to speak, but being in a space working with people who actively want to hear your opinion and will create that space for you, even if you're not jumping and raising your hand to do it, is really great. And it makes you feel like you're valued. So that's very important, and I really enjoy it.
Awesome, awesome. So I know there were a couple of more questions that I saw in the chat, but you all will actually have the opportunity to ask more questions as we transition into the next portion of our event. But let me thank our panelists for being a part of this event and sharing your insight and sharing your backgrounds, and your experience working at Remitly. I want to thank you all for being panelists at this event. But let's go ahead and transition into one of the meat and the potatoes of this event is the opportunity for you all that have taken the time out to join us to be able to interact directly with some of the team members that have volunteered to be here, to talk more about Remitly, talk more about what they do in breakout sessions, right? So we'll have breakout sessions. I've organized them by last name. So if you look at the screen here, we're going to have 4 breakout sessions. So I'm going to open up the breakout sessions here shortly, and you'll be able to self-select into the breakout sessions by going into Zoom and the options in Zoom, and you'll see one that says breakout rooms. So you'll be able to select breakout rooms and then just choose the room that's for the first letter of your last name. So we have room 1, which will be A through F, room 2, which will be G through M. We have room 3, which will be N through S, and then room 4, which will be T through Z. And if you need help moving into a breakout room, just hang on here in the main session. I'll stay here in the main session, and I'll help you get moved over into a room. If you happen to be in a room that's really populated for some reason, you can jump back into the main session, and I'll move you into a room that has less people in it so that we can distribute everyone evenly. But let's go ahead and start out by last name. And once you get into the breakout session, let me go over a little bit of housekeeping, right? So we can make this run smoothly. I'll ask that the Remitly folks introduce themselves, share a little bit about their teams and what they do so we can kind of get the questions to flowing. And then you may have the opportunity to introduce yourself as well in the breakout room. You can turn on your video and you can come off of mute, but I would ask if you're going to come off of mute to use the raise hand feature within Zoom by going to reactions. So there's an option within Zoom that's called reactions, and you can click on raise hand. So I just gave you an example of what it looks like to raise your hand within Zoom. And then the team members from Remitly in each breakout room can call on you to ask your question and come off of mute to ask that question in the breakout room. And then once you're finished, you can just hover over your video feed and lower your hand. And then that way everyone will have an opportunity. Now, the other thing I'm going to ask from a etiquette standpoint in the breakout rooms is please be considerate of other people's time. So if you're going to ask a question, try to be brief and to the point with your question. It's great and it's okay to introduce yourself and maybe a little bit about your background, like, if you're a software engineer in a certain area, like full stack or backend engineer, that's fine. But we really want to get to your questions and get those questions answered on behalf of everyone in the breakout session. All right, so I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. Then you all will be able to jump into the breakout rooms. If you need help getting into a room, just stick around here and drop me a comment in the chat. and I'll get you moved into the appropriate breakout room. So I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms up. All rooms are now open. So you can go ahead and select the appropriate room, and we can get the breakout room started. So if anyone needs help, just hang around in the main room, and then I'll get you moved over. Feel free to turn on your video feed and interact and engage. Take advantage of this opportunity. There will be interviews shortly after the event. Thank you.
Hello?
Greetings.
Yes, the link didn't work, so I called in. So how do I go to the breakout room?
I will move you into one of the rooms. 1 second.
And this is Gina. I'm sorry I had to take the call from the car to accommodate my daughter, so I need to be moved to a room as well.
Gina.
Last name is Roshan.
No problem. Good.
Thank you.
No problem. Are there any Remitly folks that need help getting into a breakout room? So just let me know.
Hey, you put Gina in the T through Z.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. I'm trying to
Okay.
distribute. Yeah, I'm just trying to distribute evenly. I'm gonna put you in one of them now too. I'll randomly move the panelists into different rooms. How about that?
Looks like T through Z doesn't have hardly anybody in there.
Okay, looks like
I actually need to hop. I have
T
some
through-
schoolwork I have to go do, so
T through
sorry,
M
y'all.
and- T through M and A through F have a lot, and T through Z is kind of needing some love.
alrighty. Okay, it's I'm showing 14 and 4, 15 and 3, 16 and 2, and 14 and 1.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yep. And I'll if you guys want to hop around to the different rooms, that's fine. I'll stay here and guide anyone.
Yeah, I'm just gonna hop in and out.
Sounds good. And I'm gonna
Just so I'm clear,
and I'm gonna okay. Screen's ready. So I'll introduce you and then we'll finish things up.
Yeah, after you introduce me, you can just go to the next slide and then I'll start talking about that.
Perfecto.
Hey guys, will you be kind enough? I was in a breakout room and I pressed a button. I think it kicked me out.
Yeah, we're getting ready to come back into the main session, so they were getting ready to close anyway.
Okay.
So, sorry about that, but good news, the event is not over yet. So if you had a question you wanted to ask, maybe you can drop it in the
Being
chat.
recorded.
Thanks, sir.
No problem. Looks like folks are coming back into the main session. And hopefully the breakout rooms were productive. We didn't have too many people that had any technical issues, so that's great. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish things up. Some really important information at this point. As I said earlier in the event, this is an intentional event. The hope is that you all have learned enough about Remitly and you're excited about the opportunity to interview. with Remitly. So now we're going to talk about the next steps and the interview day specifically for you all that have taken the time out to learn more through us at HBCU Connect. So let me introduce Nicole Awani, who's a principal tech recruiter and program manager there at Remitly to talk about next steps. So Nicole, if you're ready.
Yeah, thank you. First, I wanted to thank everybody for attending this event. We're super excited to host and excited to get some of you guys interviewed. So I just want to discuss the process a little bit. So how our interviews usually work is we have you take a tech assessment, and then if you pass that, we'll invite you in for an interview day. So for this specific group, since you guys attended, we wanted to create a special interview day for you all. So we're doing tech assessments between October 31st and November 5th. And so we'll be reviewing, we have your resumes, we'll be reviewing all of that. And then we'll be reaching out to you to discuss if you're interested in an opportunity. If you are, we'll get you scheduled for a tech assessment. Again, that'll take place between the 31st and the 5th of November. If you pass, then we'll be inviting you to our interview day on November 10th. So how the November 10th interview day is going to break down, it's a total of 4.5 hours. So you'll do a coding exercise on CoderPad. You'll have an interview with a product manager, and then you'll have a 30-minute break, and then you'll do 2 more coding interviews. And then our team debriefs the next day. In this case, we'll be debriefing on the 14th because the 11th is Veterans Day. So by the 15th, you will know if we'll be moving forward with an offer or not. And so, you know, this is a consolidated process, and we're really excited to do this. And yeah, are there any questions?
If you got if you got questions, drop those questions in the chat for us. But again, like I said, this is an intentional event, and I want to thank the Remitly team. And a special thanks to Nicole and Linda, who were our contacts for coordinating everything, for helping us to put this on, to present these opportunities to you all as candidates with diverse backgrounds, to come and learn more about Remitly and take advantage of this awesome opportunity. We will follow up with you to reiterate the steps in the previous slide, as well as you know, any application links that the Remitly team would like for us to share. But Nicole has graciously offered her contact information here on this final slide. So if you have follow-up questions about that interview process, you know, or getting your foot in the door at Remitly, Nicole's contact information is here, along with her LinkedIn profile as well. But here's one thing I like to do though before the end of the event. So I see all of the Remitly folks have their video on. To all of our candidate participants, if you guys want to turn on your video quickly. I know some of you probably had your video on in the chat in the breakout sessions, but let's go ahead and turn on our video. And if you're in a place where you can turn it on, so that we can get a screenshot and capture your smiling faces to remember this event. So if you want to go ahead and turn your video on quickly, I like to get a couple of screenshots. So I'm going to stop my sharing real quick, and I want you all to share your smiling faces, and then I'll ask Louisa to do the honors and grab a couple of screenshots. So if everybody's ready to turn on your video quickly, again, I want to thank you all for coming. Appreciate all of you taking the time out. Louisa, if you want to go ahead and snap a couple of shots, and let's say cheese.
Yep.
There you go. I see you, Michael. All right, cheese. All righty. Okay, thanks everyone. Please keep an eye out for follow-up email from us with those next steps. And we really appreciate you all taking the time out to join us. Thank you again to the Remitly team. Obviously, it's a great company to work for. You all, really came out to support the event. And again, thanks to our candidates for taking this opportunity to learn more and potentially interview with Remitly. So thanks everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you,
Thank you all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thanks, y'all.